People say the truth will set you free, but they forget to mention it might crush you first. That fateful night, the truth about the wife I loved began to surface through a cold message from the shadows. The kids were asleep upstairs. Caleb, my 11-year-old, was probably sprawled across his bed, a science book open on his chest. Mia, 8, clutched her star-shaped pillow, her curls fanned out like a halo. Owen, barely 4, snored softly in his crib, his tiny hands curled into fists. Their peace felt like a fragile thing now, a bubble I had to protect. But Sophie, my wife, was not here. She had told me she was at Amy's again, her friend's place across town, for another of her late-night catch-ups. I had believed her, or at least I had wanted to. Lately, there were signs I could not shake. Her phone, always locked, buzzing at odd hours. The faint scent of unfamiliar cologne on her coat. The way her eyes slid away from mine when I asked about her day, her answers clipped, vague. I told myself it was stress from her bank job, long hours pushing numbers around. I told myself we were fine, for the kids, for the life we built. But now, standing in the wreckage of that message, doubt clawed at my gut. My hands shook as I grabbed the phone, my thumb hovering over the family tracking app we used to keep tabs on Caleb's bike rides and Mia's dance classes. We added each other years ago, a practical thing. I had not checked Sophie's location in forever. Now I had to know. The app loaded, and a dot blinked on the map. Not Amy's quiet suburb. Silver Oak, a ritzy restaurant downtown, 20 minutes away. My stomach twisted, a mix of dread and disbelief. Amy hated flashy places like that. Why was Sophie there? I tried to reason it away. Maybe a work dinner, maybe a surprise. Then another buzz. Another message. A photo this time. Sophie, her head tilted toward a man I did not know, her smile brighter than I had seen in years. His hand rested on hers, a flashy watch glinting on his wrist. On her finger, a ring I had not given her caught the light, mocking me. My chest burned, anger and hurt colliding like a storm. I could not stay here, could not let this fester in the dark. I glanced at the kids' rooms, their closed doors a silent plea to keep things whole. But I needed the truth. I grabbed my keys, slipped on my jacket, and stepped into the night. The truck roared to life, and as I pulled onto the road, another message lit up my phone. She has lied to you before. Be careful. The words fueled my resolve, but fear gnawed at me. What was I driving toward? What would I find? As I sped through the dark, memories of Sophie flashed like ghosts. Our first date, her laugh filling the air. Caleb's birth, her hands squeezing mine. Those moments felt like lies now, crumbling under the weight of that photo. My heart screamed for it to be a mistake, but my gut knew better. I was a fool, played in my own home. The kids deserve better. I deserve better. Silver Oak loomed ahead, and with it, the truth I both craved and dreaded. Right now, as I race through this night toward a truth that might shatter everything, I feel more alone than ever. If this story is pulling you in, let us know where you're listening from. And if you want to hear how this unfolds, hit that subscribe button to support us. The city lights blurred past as I pulled into the lot across from Silver Oak, my truck tucked into a shadowed corner. The restaurant glowed with warm amber light, its glass windows framing a world of clinking glasses and soft music. I sat frozen, my hands gripping the wheel, the photo from that unknown number still burning in my mind. Sophie's smile, brighter than I'd seen in years, haunted me. I needed to see it for myself, to know if the life I thought we had was a lie. My heart pounded, a dull ache spreading through my chest as I scanned the crowd inside. There she was near the back, at a candlelit table. Sophie, my wife, leaned close to a man I didn't know. His suit screamed money, his gestures confident, easy. She touched his shoulder, her laugh carrying through the glass like a blade. Her eyes sparkled, alive in a way they hadn't been with me. Not in months, maybe years. The ring on her finger caught the light, a stranger's claim on the woman I vowed to love. I felt my breath hitch, my stomach churn. This wasn't a mistake. This was betrayal, laid bare under the glow of a chandelier. Rage surged, urging me to storm in, to shatter their perfect moment. My hand hovered over the door handle, trembling. But something stopped me. Charging him would only make me the fool, the angry husband in a scene they'd laugh about later. I needed more than this fleeting glimpse. I pulled out my phone, my fingers clumsy as I snapped photos through the window, each click a stab at my pride. her hand on his arm, his head tilting toward hers. Proof, raw and undeniable, stared back at me from the screen. I sank back into the seat, the weight of it crushing me. The drive home was a haze, the road stretching endlessly before me. Caleb's science book, Mia's star pillow, Owen's tiny fist flashed in my mind. They deserved a father who fought for them, not one broken by this. I couldn't let her see me unravel. When I got back, the house was dark, the silence heavier than before. I sat in the living room, the couch cold beneath me, replaying every moment at Silver Oak. Her laugh, his touch, the life she was living without me. Sleep wouldn't come. My eyes burned, but I refused to cry. Not yet. The clock ticked past 2 when the front door creaked. Sophie stepped inside, her steps careful like she thought I was asleep. She froze when she saw me, her purse slipping slightly in her grip. Her face, caught in the dim hallway light, flickered with unease before she forced a smile. Too tight, too practiced. She said she was tired, that Amy had kept her late. Her voice was high brittle. I stood, my boots heavy on the floor, and asked where she'd been. My tone was flat, but inside I was screaming. She stumbled over her words, saying she'd run into an old friend, Evan, at a bar after Amy's. The ring, she claimed, was a cheap trinket from a coworker, nothing special. Her eyes darted away, her hands twisting, lies piling up like ash. I wanted to shove the photos in her face, to make her choke on the truth. But I held back. I needed more, needed to be sure. I told her to go to bed, my voice cold as stone. She hesitated, then climbed the stairs, leaving me alone with my fury. As I sat there, my phone buzzed again. Another message from the unknown number. Meet me tomorrow at Benny's, 9 sharp. I will show you everything. My jaw tightened, a spark of purpose cutting through the fog. Then, a faint clatter from the hall. Sophie's purse had tipped over, her phone sliding out. The screen lit up, a notification flashing, Evan with a heart. Tonight was perfect, babe. See you soon. My blood ran cold. She scrambled to grab it, her face pale, but I turned away, pretending I hadn't seen. That message was another nail in her coffin, and I'd use it. Right now, as I sit in this darkness, clutching proof of a life I didn't know, I feel the ground slipping beneath me. If this story's gripping you, let us know where you're listening from. And if you want to see how deep this betrayal runs, hit subscribe to stay with us. The morning sun barely pierced the gray haze as I drove to Benny's, a rundown diner on the edge of town. My eyes burned from a sleepless night, Sophie's lies, and that damning message from Evan looping in my head. The image of her purse spilling, her phone betraying her, had seared itself into me. I gripped the wheel, my knuckles pale, the promise of answers pulling me forward like a lifeline. Benny's loomed ahead, its neon sign flickering, the air thick with grease and stale coffee. I slid into a booth at the back, my pulse steady but heavy, each beat a reminder of the life I thought I knew slipping away. A man approached, tall, with sharp eyes and a leather jacket that looked out of place in the diner's cracked vinyl seats. He introduced himself as Travis, his voice low, measured, the same one behind last night's texts. He sat across from me, his gaze sizing me up, and said he was a private investigator hired to dig into someone named Evan. My stomach tightened at the name, the man from the photos, the one who'd taken Sophie's smile. Travis explained that his client, someone he wouldn't name, had led him to Sophie's affair by chance. Every word felt like a weight, piling onto the betrayal I'd witnessed at Silver Oak. He slid a thick envelope across the table, its edges worn, heavy with secrets. I opened it, my hand steady despite the storm inside. Photos spilled out, glossy and cruel. Sophie and Evan, arm in arm, slipping into Willow Creek, a cheap hotel on the city's outskirts. Another showed them in a car, her head on his shoulder, eyes closed, peaceful in a way she never was at home. Receipts followed, hotel bills, some in Evan's name, others charged to a credit card I didn't recognize, one Sophie must have hidden. Worst of all were the bank statements, pages of numbers that gutted me. Small transfers, $50 here, $200 there, siphoned from our joint savings, the money we set aside for Caleb's college, Mia's dance lessons, Owen's future. She'd used it for him, for their nights, their lies. My throat burned, but I kept my face blank, flipping through the evidence. Travis leaned forward, his voice cutting through the diner's hum. Evan was a lawyer, he said, big name downtown, married with 2 kids, drowning in debt from a lifestyle he couldn't afford. He and Sophie had history, a college romance that fizzled until they reconnected 8 months ago. 8 months. The words landed like blows. I've been blind, working late, changing diapers while she built a life behind my back. The photos, the receipts, the money, they weren't just proof of an affair. They were proof I'd been erased. I asked Travis to keep digging, to find everything on Evan, his finances, his weaknesses. My voice was calm, but inside, rage coiled tight, cold, and sharp. I needed more than this envelope. I needed to tear their world apart, piece by piece, the way they tore mine. Travis nodded, his eyes glinting with understanding, and left me with the folder, its weight heavier than it should have been. I sat there, staring at the photos, Sophie's face a stranger's now. The diner's clock ticked, each second fueling a plan I hadn't yet formed but knew I'd see through. Then, as I gathered the papers, a faint buzz broke my focus. My phone, still open to the app I'd used to track Sophie last night, had synced to a small recorder Travis slipped into the envelope, a detail I'd missed. I pressed play, and her voice filled my ears, soft, laughing at Willow Creek. She spoke to Evan, her tone light, teasing. She said he made her forget the weight of home, forget me, my name a throwaway word in their stolen moment. My chest tightened, the sound of her dismissing me worse than any photo. I stopped the recording, my hands shaking, the diner spinning around me. That was it, the final crack in whatever hope I'd clung to. She wasn't just cheating. She'd chosen him over us, over the kids, over everything. I tucked the envelope under my arm and walked out, the recorder's words echoing. Caleb's curious eyes, Mia's quiet songs, Owen's sleepy hugs flashed before me. They deserved better than a mother who threw them away. I deserved better than a wife who made me a ghost in my own life. The plan was clear now. I'd find every secret, every lie, and when I was ready, I'd make them pay. Right now, as I hold the truth that shatters my world, I feel a fire growing inside me. If this story's pulling you in, let us know where you're listening from. And if you want to see how this unfolds, hit subscribe to stay with us. The envelope from Travis sat heavy in my hands as I slipped into the garage, the only place in the house where silence didn't feel like a lie. Sophie's voice from that recorder, laughing off our life, our kids, me, echoed in my skull. I powered up my old laptop, its hum a faint comfort against the chaos inside. My skills as a technician, wiring circuits, tracing faults became my weapon now. I dug into Evan, typing his name in a search bar as my fingers steadied despite the fire in my chest. His face appeared on a law firm's website, all polished smiles and sharp suits, a senior partner with a trail of glowing articles. But deeper in financial blogs and old posts, I found cracks, bad investments, whispers of debt. He had a wife, Lydia, and 2 kids, their happy photos a mirror of the life he was stealing from me. I couldn't trust Sophie's words anymore, her footsteps in the house a reminder of her betrayal. I bought a GPS tracker, small as a coin, from a shop downtown, my hands calm as I tucked it into the lining of her favorite purse while she showered. The app synced to my phone, a blinking dot mapping her lies. That afternoon, it showed her at the bank, her job, nothing unusual. But by evening, the dot moved, not to Amy's but back to Silver Oak, then to Willow Creek, the hotel from Travis's photos. My jaw tightened, the truth no longer a shock but a fuel, burning brighter with every ping. I needed more than digital trails. I drove to Blue Haven, a dive bar across town, with a tracker led me one night. I parked down the street, my truck blending into the shadows, and waited. They emerged from a bar, Sophie's arm looped through Evan's, her laughter cutting through the night. I raised my phone, snapping photos, their closeness a fresh wound. Then, voices carried over, sharp and heated. Sophie's tone was low, pleading, accusing Evan of promising to leave his wife. He laughed, a cruel edge to it, and said she was naive to think he'd risk his career, his family, for her. My blood ran hot, not just at his arrogance, but at her desperation, clinging to a man who saw her as a game. I gripped the wheel, the urge to confront them nearly overwhelming, but I held back. This wasn't enough. Not yet. I called Travis, my voice clipped, and told him to focus on Evan's finances, his work, anything that could break him. He warned it'd cost extra, but I didn't care. I had a stash of cash Sophie didn't know about, saved for emergencies. now fuel for justice. Travis delivered days later, his email a bombshell. Evan was skimming from client trust funds, small amounts to cover hotel bills, dinners, gifts for Sophie. A single audit could end his career, his license, his life. I printed every page, adding them to my growing file, each sheet a step toward their ruin. At home, the kids felt the fracture. Caleb, my 11-year-old, cornered me one morning, his eyes searching, asking why Sophie was always gone, why we never laughed anymore. His words stung, a reminder of what she'd stolen. Mia's drawings, once bright with family scenes, now showed just me and her brothers. Sophie's absence, a silent scream. Owen clung to me at bedtime, his small voice trembling, begging for his mom. I forced a smile, my heart splintering, and called my sister, Hannah, to watch them when I needed to hunt for truth. She arrived without judgment, her quiet support a lifeline I didn't deserve. Each lie I uncovered sharpened my focus, but the kids' pain dulled my edges. I sat in the garage late one night, the tracker app glowing, showing Sophie at Willow Creek again. My mind raced, piecing together a plan. I'd confront them there, where their lies were born, but not rashly. I needed everything, every secret, every mistake, to ensure they'd fall and never rise. The photos, the bank records, Evan's theft, they were my arsenal, but I wanted more. I wanted their shame laid bare, their lives as broken as mine felt. Then, a new alert pinged. The tracker caught Sophie leaving the hotel, but not with Evan. She stopped at a gas station, alone, and lingered, her dot unmoving. I checked the app's history, spotting a pattern, late-night detours, always alone, always brief. My gut twisted with a new suspicion, not just Evan, but something else she hid. I added it to my notes, another thread to pull, another lie to unravel. The kids deserved a father who fought, and I'd fight until there was nothing left to uncover. Right now, as I build this case against the woman I loved, I feel myself changing, hardening into someone new. If this story's gripping you, let us know where you're listening from. And if you want to see how this unfolds, hit subscribe to stay with us. The sun dipped low, casting long shadows as I drove to Willow Creek, the hotel's faded sign a beacon for my reckoning. The tracker app glowed on my phone. Sophie's steady in room 214, Evan with her, their secret haven about to crumble. My file of evidence, photos, receipts, bank records, Travis's report on Evan's theft sat on the passenger's seat, a silent army I'd built over weeks. The kids were with Hannah, their laughter a distant echo I clung to, a reminder of why I couldn't falter. Sophie's late-night detours, her voice dismissing me. Evan's cruel laugh at Blue Haven, all fueled me now. I parked across the lot, my hands steady, my heart a cold drumbeat. This was it, the moment to end their lies. I crossed the lot, my boots crunching gravel, and climbed the stairs to the second floor. The hallway smelled of cheap cleaner, the carpet worn underfoot. I stood before room 214. The doors chipped paint a mockery of their hidden world. My knock was sharp, deliberate, echoing like a judge's gavel. Sophie opened it, her face draining of color, eyes wide with shock. She wore a silk robe, her hair loose, the ring glinting on her finger, a stranger's mark. She stepped back, her hand gripping the frame, her voice a broken whisper, asking why I was here. I didn't answer. I pushed past, my file clutched tight, and entered the room, the air thick with their guilt. Evan lounged on the bed, a glass of whiskey in hand, his shirt unbuttoned, his smirk fading when he saw me. He sat up, his eyes narrowing, demanding to know who I was. I met his gaze, my face a mask, and said I was Sophie's husband. The word felt foreign now, a title I'd earned but no longer wanted. Sophie grabbed my arm, her nails digging in, pleading for me to listen. I shook her off, my focus on Evan, the man who'd thought he could take my life and walk away. I opened the file, laying out the truth with surgical precision. Photos of them at Willow Creek, Silver Oak, Blue Haven, their hands entwined, their smiles a betrayal. Receipts for rooms, dinners, paid with my family's money. Bank records showing Sophie's theft from our savings. And the final blow, proof Evan had siphoned client funds, enough to end his career, his freedom. Evan's face paled, his glass trembling. I told him the evidence would go to his firm, the Bar Association, his wife, Lydia, unless he ended things with Sophie now and disappear from our lives. My voice was ice, each were a blade. I turned to Sophie, her eyes brimming with tears, and said our marriage was over. I would file for divorce, take the kids, ensure she'd never hurt them again. She'd chosen this, chosen him, and now she'd live with nothing. Her sobs filled the room, loud, desperate, but they bounced off me, hollow against my resolve. Evan said nothing, his silence an admission of defeat. I stepped toward the door, my mission clear, but Sophie lunged, falling to her knees, clutching my jacket. She begged for forgiveness, her voice cracking, saying Evan had manipulated her, that she still loved me, loved the kids. Her tears soaked the floor, her hands trembling, but I saw only lies, only the woman who'd erased us. I looked down, her face a stranger's, and said she'd made her choice. I pulled free, her fingers slipping away, and walked out, the door clicking shut on her cries. In the truck, I moved fast my plan. Unfolding. I emailed the evidence to Evan's firm, carbon copied to his partners, detailing his theft with cold clarity. I sealed a package for Lydia, photos of Evan and Sophie, bank records, a note saying she deserved the truth. My hands didn't shake as I dropped it in a mailbox, the act final, unyielding. The kids' faces, Caleb's questions, Mia's drawings, Owen's pleas drove me. This wasn't just for me. It was for them, for the life they'd rebuild without her shadow. As I drove home, a new weight settled, not victory but clarity. I'd torn their world apart, but mine was still broken. The road stretched dark before me, and for a moment I saw Sophie's face, not sobbing, but laughing at Silver Oak, free in a way I'd never given her. The thought stung a flicker of doubt, but I crushed it. She'd chosen this path, and I'd chosen justice. Another buzz from my phone broke the silence, a text from Hannah saying Owen had asked for me, his small voice a tether pulling me back. I pressed the gas, ready to face what came next, knowing this was only the beginning. Right now, as I leave their lies in ruins, I feel both power and emptiness, a man remade by truth. If this story's gripping you, let us know where you're listening from. And if you want to see how this ends, hit subscribe to stay with us. The dust settled faster than I expected, the chaos of that night at Willow Creek fading into a strange, quiet aftermath. I sat in my lawyer's office the next day, Marcus's desk piled with papers, my evidence file spread out like a map of betrayal. The divorce moved swiftly, Sophie's guilt too heavy to fight. She signed away her rights to Caleb, Mia, and Owen, her face hollow as she packed a single bag and left our home. The bank records, the photos, the truth about her, and Evan ensured she got nothing but a small settlement, just enough to vanish into a life I no longer cared to know. Evan's fall was steeper, his firm launching an audit within days of my email. They fired him, the Bar Association circling, his license hanging by a thread. Lydia, his wife, filed for divorce, her package of evidence, my parting gift, shattering his world. Word spread he'd skipped town, creditors on his heels, his name a stain no one would touch. We moved to a smaller house, closer to Hannah's, its walls fresh with paint and promise. The kids filled it with noise, Caleb dribbling a basketball in the driveway, Mia humming songs from her choir practice, Owen stacking blocks into wobbly towers. I threw myself into work, my focus earning a promotion, more hours fixing circuits, less time to dwell on the past. Stability returned, piece by piece, though the kids carried scars. One night, Mia slipped a drawing under my door, our family of 4, no Sophie, but with smiles, a sign they were healing. I tucked it away, my chest tight, knowing I'd fought for this for them. Months later, I met Karen at a parent-teacher night, Mia's music teacher, her eyes kind, her laugh soft, like a melody I'd forgotten. She'd been through her own storms, a divorce that left her stronger, and our talks over coffee turned into something more slow, cautious, real. I wasn't ready to dive in, but her presence felt like sunlight after endless rain. Hannah kept me grounded, her visits a steady rhythm, her updates on Sophie sparse but telling. She lived alone in a cramped apartment, scraping by, her spark gone, friends turning away. Evan was a ghost, no trace left, his life unraveled as completely as I planned. I sat on the porch one evening, the kids' laughter drifting from the yard, Karen beside me, her hand brushing mine. I felt peace, Not the kind that erases pain, but the kind that grows around it, sturdy, earned. Sophie's sobs, Evan's silence, it didn't haunt me anymore. I'd torn their lies apart, not for joy, but for truth, for the right to rebuild. Yet, a memory flickered, unbidden, Sophie's face at the hotel, broken, human. For a moment, I wondered if I'd been too harsh, if mercy might have changed her path. The thought passed, replaced by Owen's giggle as he chased Mia, Caleb cheering them on. I'd chosen them, chosen us, and that was enough. I learned hard truths in this fire. Lies can hide, but truth hunts them down, relentless. Betrayal carries a cost, heavy and inevitable, for those who choose it. Letting go of hate, forgiving myself, opened the door to healing, to mornings where coffee tastes better, where laughter feels true. Family, the real kind, built on trust, holds stronger than any vow. And after every fall, there's a chance to rise, to find light again. I watched the sunset, Karen's warmth beside me, the kids' voices a song of hope. I was whole, not perfect, but free. This journey, all its pain and triumph, taught me to fight for what matters, to never let lies steal my dawn. This story ends here, with a family rebuilt and lessons carved deep. If it moved you, share your thoughts below. Love this ride. Give us a like and subscribe for more. Thanks for joining me. Until the next tale.